Welcome to Women Entrepreneurs Radio. I'm your host, Deborah Bailey. And when I started this show in 2008, I was on a mission to promote women-owned businesses and help women succeed by providing resources and valuable tips from other women and men, small business owners. In each interview, my guests speak openly about their triumphs, the scary times, and tough decisions they had to make along the way. Women Entrepreneurs Radio is about showing women how to harness their natural strengths to achieve success on their own terms. Hi everyone, welcome to Women Entrepreneurs Radio, and I'm your host Deborah Bailey. I'm joined again by my co-host Kerry Heaps, and we're going to be talking today about writing and publishing books, but maybe not quite the way you may think. Just kind of looking at how you can use that book to help you with your objectives for your business promotions. So I know you're going to learn a lot today because Kerry's published a few guides that are showing her expertise in her industry. So this might be something I think that you can get a lot out of in terms of how to use your books for your promotions. So if you would like to find out more about the show, of course, go to womenentrepreneursecrets.com, and then you can click on the radio tab in the menu, and you can see all the different platforms the show is on. And you can also check out what the older shows being moved and Libsyn from Blog Talk Radio. And the show is also on iTunes, and you can go there and leave feedback as well. That's a good place to leave it so the show will be found by more people. Or you can also leave it on the blog, womenentrepreneursecrets.com, or on Kerry's website, www.strictlymarketingmagazine.com. So that's fine as well. If you have any feedback or any thoughts or suggestions for future shows, that's something I think that would be very helpful. So I'm going to get started, introduce Kerry, and she's the founder and publisher of Strictly Marketing Magazine, and she's also the host of Strictly Marketing Talk Radio. The magazine has recently spun off an online community for women and men too, looking to gain more media exposure. Pitch Like a Bitch Media. She owns Knockout Marketing, a business-to-business telemarketing lead generation firm. Her passion is to help other entrepreneurs with their marketing efforts to continue their dream of running a successful business. And Kerry's site, Strictly Marketing Magazine and Talk Radio, could be found at www.strictlymarketingmagazine.com. So welcome to the show again, Kerry.
Thank you, Deb. As always, it's so great to be here with you and with the listening audience, and really excited about our topic today.
Yes, exactly. When I saw that she'd published these books, I was really excited for you, and also very interested in having you share a bit more about how you came up with the concept for the books and your objectives. Because, you know, we talked a little bit about this before the show, that a lot of times people may believe that, oh, the book in and of itself is the thing they're trying to make money off of, and there's a lot of people out here who will encourage that. And I think when you're talking about nonfiction, it's a whole different type of market and a whole different reason why you're writing it and using it for your business. So, you know, Kerry, what was your inspiration to write these books and get them out here?
Well, a couple of things. I can't take the credit completely. A good friend of mine, Alicia Nicole Waters, who, if she's listening, hello, Alicia, she actually was the one who really got me into getting this done. I've been working on the Pitch Like a Bitch media platform, and also finishing up that book, Pitch Like a Bitch, Top 10 Tips to Pitch Like a Pro, a book for women to help them get featured in the media. And I've been working on that for so long, thinking that this is going to be my first officially published, you know, I've published before, like doing some self-publishing things just on my website, nothing, you know, like a downloadable pamphlet or book, but nothing more past that, you know. So she was the one who said, you know, you really need to do a series. She said, you've had a podcast before, you've created a magazine, and you've created your own publicity. And she said, you really need to do a series on creating your own media. She said, you need to do one on podcasting, one on publishing, and one on publicity, and do a mini book series, which is basically what this is. A lot of this is content that has been derived from me over the years, Deb, that some of it comes from teaching, some of it comes from, different webinars, from coaching different clients, and just from, things that I've put together from my own experience, where other people have asked me, hey, I want to do a show or a podcast, what are your tips for that? And, just really the content that I have derived from this is more or less repurposed, but not something that it's a book that was already written and just, like a second edition. So it's very exciting. The way that this whole thing was set up is she, kind of walked me through what the process was to creating this. And once I got started, it was tough to get started. Clearly there's a fear there for everyone of, will I have time to do this? How can I get it done? And that was something that she worked with me on. And I was able to get it out relatively quickly because everything's there. It's just like I tell people with getting interviewed with the media. People are afraid they have nothing to talk about, nothing to contribute, and that just simply isn't true. You have tons to contribute. You talk about and you offer advice all the time. It's just a matter of getting what's out of your mouth down on paper. And this is the same process. So I kind of had to work through that fear that everybody sort of works through. And I decided to do a Creating Your Own Media series because it is part of the process. You should be getting featured on other people's shows and in their publications. But the flip side of that is you should have your own as well. To start building up your platform. So the first one I did was on podcasting, and it really does a good overview. Again, these are mini books, so they're under 40 pages, 50 pages each, and they're interactive. So there's, room for you to write notes and do different things and just, really be able to, really interact with yourself of where you want to go with that. So, for example, the first one we did on podcasting, I shared my experience of podcasting back in the early days with Blog Talk Radio, back in 2009 when we both, logistically had started or had new shows on BTR platform, and, talked about, getting guests, where to get guests, all of the things that people normally come to me and ask me for advice on, which I might spend 10 or 15 minutes with them. But at this point now, I have a resource to refer them to, and it's not going to take up any more of my time. We priced each book at, I think, $9.95 in print, and then it's like $4.95 if you want the Kindle version, so very affordable. But I did podcasting first, and I go over tons of different things, and it just gives people a really good overview of podcasting. If you're going to offer advertising, what platforms are out there, and just it's my general experience, viewpoint, and advice that I hand out to people who are interested in having a podcast or radio show, talk radio program on internet radio. The second one I did was on publishing, which is, I really enjoyed putting that together because, again, it's a mini book. It's under 50 pages. There's a lot of different worksheets in there that people can write notes in and determine what kind of publication they want to start. That's another question that I get asked a lot too because of the magazine. How do you start, your own magazine? How are you getting things together and doing certain things to have a publication? And just things that people really need to be aware of in regards to publishing, because logistically, depending upon the route you go, there could be a significant investment. There's definitely going to be some type of investment, and there's always going to be the investment of your time that's separate. So I really went in and talked about contributing writers, different resources, making things easy on yourself, advertising, if you accept advertising, different resources that you can use on an advertising platform. So that was the second one. And then the last one was creating your own media for the publicity part of it, and really talking about the basics of publicity. Okay, you have these two platforms, great, and getting featured and just different things that you can do to take those platforms and utilize those to get booked on other people's shows and in writing for other people, because if you start to do a podcast, and maybe you're doing it in a specialty niche industry like for accounting, or maybe it's for finance, and how you can leverage that to become an interviewee on other people's shows, just to kind of maximize that platform. And I really talk about, the basics, the things that you really need to have in line that you should be asking other people for, those, the top 5 things that you need before you start going out there and getting media coverage. Everything from, making sure that you have sample topics and summaries and questions for each topic, sample questions, and, what you can provide to a contributing as a contributing person, whether you're writing or you're doing that as a podcast guest or a radio show guest or TV guest. So again, everything that's included is also interactive, where people can write in notes and really use it as a working platform. So the whole creating your own media series, basically for under $30, it's a really good roadmap to get you set up to start building your platform, and an introduction and gateway to get in on other people's platforms as well. So my whole goal behind it was to be able to help those people, because again, we all know this, our time is valuable as a coach, consultant, whatever you do. If you have people asking you about certain things and you get enough questions, you need to write about that. You need to have that as a product, and whether it's an audio product or a product they can download, these are things that you need to be able to offer to them, and if you do it at a reasonable price, you could always say, hey, I'd love to help you, let me refer you to my ebook. And that's exactly what I'm doing right now. And my viewpoint is that, you have to understand from a consulting standpoint, if you want to hire me, it's $150 an hour. So you either pay that or pay $9.95 to learn everything I'm going to tell you about podcasting anyway. So it's just a really great way to be able to have a resource to refer people to.
Yeah, that's a great idea, because I can remember having someone refer to me about doing resumes, and as it turned out, her resume was really in good shape, and she wasn't getting calls, and it could, as I told her, it could have been because of the industry that she was in, and a variety of things. But I didn't want to charge her, because I knew that there really was nothing wrong with her resume per se. So I could give her a little bit of advice, but I also referred her to a resume writing book that I did based on things I'd done for resume clients. And I put that into a small ebook, and I said, you can get this for like $1.99, as opposed to paying for me to tell you information you don't really need. I mean, I can rearrange your resume, but I don't have to do extensive work on it. And I don't think it's fair for me to charge you when you don't need that work. So I think that makes so much sense for you to have a way to refer to clients who maybe looking for some kind of really relatively quick information that they may not, that way they don't have to really work with you, or maybe they can't afford it this time, or whatever the reason, and you're still sharing your expertise. Yeah.
Well, and that is part of the reason that I did this. I mean, granted, it was also kind of lay the groundwork. It was to get my Amazon page set up, to do all of the, getting familiar with the process before I have our, Pitch Like a Bitch book released. So, with this also, I mean, a couple of things that, listeners can do. That's a great point that you bring up, because here's my thought on that. If you have people who are going to ask you for help, and, again, we're always willing to help people, but, as entrepreneurs, our time is limited. If I spend, and believe me, I get, and you do too, Deb, we get tons of calls, and every business owner gets this. You get tons of calls of people wanting advice, or they need help with this, or what do you think of that? If you track your time of how much time you're spending doing that, you're basically giving your time away. And I tracked it 1 week, and it came up to 10 or 15 hours, which was scary to me, because for what I charge for an hour, that's over $1,500 worth of my time that I gave away. So a really good rule of thumb is to have products like this that are priced very low. Again, these are under $10. Kindle version under $5. So if somebody's not willing to invest $5 or $10 to get their questions answered, I don't want to help them anyway. You know, and if somebody is going to get upset with you, because if you refer them to, you know, that's a great question. Here's some ideas that, you know, I wrote a book about this, take a look, and, you know, they can purchase the book online. If they're going to get upset about that, you have to consider, is that really somebody that you want in your network? Think about it. We just, you know, for example, we just did, and this just goes back to, we did a segment on Facebook groups. And what happens as soon as we're, you know, finished with that, I posted something in a group and got reprimanded and thrown out and banned. And it's like, and it was a marketing group. Master your marketing. Crappy group. I will be shouting it from the rooftops, but I actually removed myself from all business groups after that, because it's just, the rules are too stringent, and, you know, that's a total other conversation. But based on the fact that that person did that, it's like, I don't want to be part of that group anyway. It's like, yeah, you don't want spam. Spam is considered, you know, when somebody's doing that multiple times, okay? I posted it one time and you're calling it spam. So, you know, again, that's something I don't want to be involved with. So clearly that's not, it's the same thing with, you have to look at the people that are coming to you and asking you for help. You're not there to provide a free service. You start a business to make a profit. You start helping everybody for free, you won't have a business for long. So this creating like a mini book series, or, you know, something of that nature, Create Space was a great way to do that, and very interactive, very easy to use. So go on there, create your product, if you're getting at least 2 people a week, or 1 person a week really, that's asking you for help on this, and, you know, logistically they can't afford to hire you. Again, if they can't afford $5 or $10, then they really shouldn't have their own business. Think about that. Think about it. So they need to go back to the drawing board at that point. So, you know, again, if they're going to get offended, they wouldn't have helped you anyway. It just would have been, they're going to suck you dry for free information and move on to the next person. I call them vampires, business vampires, because that's what they do. They come in, they suck everything they can out of you, waste your time, and then they move on to the next person. So yeah, it's a great way if you create something like this to, you know, for the people who can't afford you, this is a great alternative for them. Another thing that we're doing is we're actually working on doing our media tour for the Create Your Media series, to do interviews and get the word out, you know, so people can start buying the books, or, you know, buying the Kindle version, whatever they're going to do, and start building up the media exposure for that, and to garner, you know, media attention to our Amazon page, our Amazon author page, I should say. And then the next thing we're going to be doing with that is taking those interviews and start, you know, setting up speaking engagements, you know, paid speaking engagements for, you know, whether it be for women's groups, or, you know, maybe a CPA group, or, you know, just different associations where I can come in and, you know, sell these books, or do it as a bundle package where we can sell at the back of the room, or, you know, pre-sell where it's so much per person and they each get a copy of each of those books, and do a presentation. So there's tons of different things that you can do with this, you know, with doing a book series. And those are just a couple of things. But the biggest thing is, where I think it really can take the monkey off your back, is those people who are like, hey, can I pick your brain? Can I take you to lunch? And it's like, do you understand that, you know, there are people who pay me for my time, and they pay in advance to get on my calendar. So it's like, why would I, you know, you taking me to lunch doesn't do anything for me. Right. All it helps is you. And it's like, no. So it's just a great way to have a product to say, so if you do have someone who calls you and says, hey, I want to pick your brain about, like, Deb, give me an example. What do you get a lot? Like, what do people want to pick your brain about?
About publishing books.
Oh. Okay. So a great thing to do would be to refer them to this interview. Yeah. Or, you know, again, you could create a little mini book or mini series about publishing, like part 1, you know, creating your book, part 2. And again, these books that I did, they're under 50 pages. And that includes like a workbook section for them to make notes and goal sheets and things like that. So it is relatively easy to do. And it's just, and again, it's a great way to refer your potential customers. So if you had a product like that, and just to say, you know, I'd love to help you. You know, my hourly rate to work with someone is whatever the amount is, and say it's a 5-hour minimum. Or what I tell people is, my rate is $150 an hour. I can send you my calendar link and you can pick how many hours you'd like. If that's not something that's financially feasible for you, here's, I'm going to refer you to, here's a link to our Creating Your Media series. There's one on podcasting, one on publishing, one on publicity. You can get all three for under $30 or just buy whichever one you want for under $10. And it's going to tell you everything that you need to know, everything that I would probably tell you if we did a consultation without my personal input. And away we go. And, again, it's like, oh, well, I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions. Okay, great. Well, let me send you the link then. That'll, this book can answer all of your questions. And that's the end of the conversation. You get to a point in your business where you have to do that. And it seems mean. It seems cruel. Too bad. Because your survival is going to depend on you getting a backbone for all of us, not just the people listening, but for myself included. This is part of the reason I did this. Because again, if I had $1 for every time somebody said, oh, I want to start a magazine, and, to sit down and talk with someone for about an hour about what I've gone through, what I've done, how I did it, I put it in a book. They can pay $9 or $5 and be done with it. And I don't have to get involved in the conversation at all. But again, if you want my expertise, and you're going to have to pay for that. So this is actually a product for the people who cannot afford or don't want to spend the money. If you don't see the value, it's funny because a lot of them will say they want to pick your brain, but they're not willing to pay for your information. It's okay if it's free, but as soon as they have to pay for it, it's not okay. Which is, again, the opposite's not okay with me. So it's a great way to kind of let your clients know, or potential clients, that you are not playing, that you mean business, and you get paid for what you do.
Right. I agree.
And, there's so many other things, like I said, with doing, these are ways for you to get interviewed. These, this is a great way for you to get interviewed on different shows. This is a great way for you to take what you've done and, speak about it. And here I have, I'm creating your own media, talking about, and that's what we do with our Pitch Like a Bitch tour, is to be able to go in and, talk about certain things and, talk about getting booked on the media. But again, it's also something that I can share with people and say, hey, this is something I can factor it into my cost for speaking. We'll give everybody that attends a copy of Create Your Own Media.
That's a great idea.
And, that way, so it can lead to other paid projects. But again, I'm glad that I did it this way because, again, it's done. I understand how the process works now, and it's going to be a great tool, for me to use. But it also, it solves a huge problem in the process of, the people who want to pick my brain.
Right. That's true. And I totally agree because, we had talked about that before, about a situation I had like that where someone wanted to meet with me and I thought was going to lead to something more, and it really wasn't. It was just more not the person not really knowing what they wanted and getting the information from me that I shared, of course, because I guess my objective was different than his was. And then after the fact, sending a bill on his request for consulting and never hearing from him again. But that's me who should have taken a different...
Well, we've all done that. Yeah. And it is true. We all encompass that. And anybody, if you have been in business at any length of time, and I don't care what kind of business you have, you could be a personal trainer, you could be a doctor, you could be a lawyer, you could be a car salesman, you could be a mechanic, you could be a yoga instructor. You are going to get people who will come up to, can I pick your brain? I need some advice. Can I do this? Can I do that? And at first it's very flattering, but as you move on, it takes time away from you running your business. And it's logistically, it's taking money out of your pocket. I want you to think about people that, who are well-known. Barbara Corcoran. You can take, Grant Cardone. You've got Tony Robbins. The list goes on. You have all these people who are really well-known. If those people, think about it this way, if those people, even if they would have done it earlier on in their career or even now, to where the pick your brain people kept coming, can I pick your brain? Can I pick your brain? Can I pick your brain? Do you think that we would have heard of them at this point in time?
No.
Of course not, because they'd either be bankrupt or mentally bankrupt. It wouldn't work. I watched a video the other day of Grant Cardone, and he was talking about, and I think it was somebody who wanted information or wanted him to be on a show. I don't remember exactly the details, but he basically told the person, and he said it just like this. He said, dude, why should I even invest my time in you? You haven't even bought a book from me. You haven't even bought like a $9 book from me.
Right.
So why, it's like, you're not going to get my personal attention. And I thought that is why Grant Cardone's one of my favorite people. And that's why, is because he, not only does he value his time, he makes people value it. He commands that. And you have to learn to do that with your own business, or you're not going to stay in business long. I once met a doctor one time, and he said when he goes to parties, just like a cocktail party, or goes over to a friend's house, is invited over for dinner, he said without fail, somebody will come up to him and say, I got this thing growing on my neck, or, can you look at this? Can you look at my elbow? Or I'm having trouble with my, whatever. And it's like he said, being a doctor, and lawyers go through this too, doctors and lawyers both, they cannot dispense advice, especially doctors, they can't dispense advice if you have not been seen in their office, if you are not considered a patient. So by law, they can't do that. So he told me he had to learn a long time ago. What he would say is, well, that's a great question. You know what? Why don't you, here's my card, call my office on Monday and make an appointment, and we'll take a look at that.
Yes, that makes sense.
And if they continue to persist, he would just say, call my office, and he'd get more stern and make an appointment. I can't, I'm not in the proper frame of mind or in the proper place to dispense any advice at this point.
Exactly.
So, and people know, they call the doctor's office and they make an appointment. They're going to have to come in. They're going to have to pay, so they know the process. So the people who are just wanted free medical advice will never call. And the ones who really do need help, well, the ones who really need doctor's assistance are not going to do that anyway. But the ones who really do need help or understand, hey, okay, I get it. They're going to call, they're going to make an appointment. They're going to go through the process.
Right.
It's like, I've heard before, and this applies to this podcast, you teach people how to treat you.
You're right.
So, and like I said, we've all been guilty of it. And the more you do it, the harder it is to get out of it. One of the things that I've shared with you, and I'm going to share with the audience, if you have people who are asking you for advice on a particular topic, look at that as an income opportunity. That's an opportunity for you to do an audio product, a book product, mini book, whatever you want to call it. And you can self-publish it today. You can go through CreateSpace, which is affiliated with Amazon. You can go on there. You can create an account. You can do it for free. You don't have to pay for anything. So you can try it out the first time. You can do an audio product and upload your CDs. You can do a book product like I did. And if you're not sure how to do it, Deb is clearly a specialist. Alicia Nicole Waters is another one who's a specialist on doing this. And they can, you can hire them to help you, walk you through the process. But that way you have that product. Once you have that product, you start letting people know about that product. You start getting interviewed on it. Let other people in the community know. Let your friends and family know that you have it. Right. The next time someone comes up and asks you a question about that topic, can I pick your brain? Can I take you to lunch? Gosh, thank you so much, but I got great news for you. I just published an audio product on this exact topic. And here's the link, so you can go and check it out. And if they persist and they still want to pick your brain, say, okay, that's fine. Well, I'm going to send you, and there's a new, well, it's not new, but it's new for me. We've started using it more than what we used to, but it's called Setmore, where it's an actual scheduling software, and it can work with Outlook and can work with any kind of calendar product that you have. And you can let them know, I'm going to send you a link and you can set up an hour on my calendar. And if you're not comfortable talking about that you charge for your time, when you send that to them, they're going to see, okay, an hour consultation, $150. And they have to, in order for them to go through that and get on your calendar, it leads them to your PayPal or your merchant account or whatever, to where they have to pay in advance to get on your calendar. And the people who really want your help and really
Yeah.
value what you have to say will pay it. And the ones who don't will either say, forget this, or they might come back and say, I just wanted to pick your brain. I can't believe you're actually going to charge me. And all you have to say, and I learned this from an attorney that I worked for years ago, is all you have to say is, if the person who's saying that to you, let's just say it's your cousin Jerry, and he's pissed off that, you want $150 to sit down with him for an hour and let him pick your brain. All you have to say is, if cousin Jerry is say he's a maintenance worker, okay? All you have to say is, Jerry, I'll tell you what, I need somebody to come over here and fix my toilet and fix all the cracks in the wall and, do all this stuff. Why don't you come over here and do that for me? And then I'll in exchange for that, I'll give you an hour of my time.
Right.
And then Jerry's immediately going to say, oh no, if I did all that, that would be at least, worth $500. And then you can say, well, Jerry, you know your worth and I know mine, and mine is $150 an hour.
Right.
Okay. So like the attorney I used to work for, he would have people who would come in the office to do a consultation. And he would tell them, I charge $250 or $350, whatever he charged per hour. So people would come in for a consult for 1 hour. We would send them a bill for $350. They would call the office and say, what the hell is this? I only came in there for a consultation. And he would tell them, I told you my hourly rate was $350 an hour. You took up an hour of my time. And I would hear him on the phone, and he would literally say to people, like I remember one time a landscaper came in. And he told the guy, he said, it's $350 an hour for my time. He said, I would never ask you to come over to my house and survey my yard and, and do this and do that and give me advice on what I should do with it without compensating you for whatever your hourly rate is.
Right.
So don't expect me to do it. And, when you have to put people in the proper frame of mind, and sometimes people need to be jerked into that. And that's exactly how you do it, is you take whatever they do for a living, okay, and say, that's a good way to say, hey, look, I'll tell you what, I need to have, this, and this done. Why don't you go ahead and do that for me? And then in exchange, I'll give you an hour of my time. And they won't go for it because everybody always values their own time more than they value yours. And so that's just a good way to put it. And again, you are going to have to get to a point where you have to feel comfortable doing this, because if you don't, you will go bankrupt. You will not have a business long.
Yeah, that's true. And I think that's excellent use of your time, is to create a product, or I could say a book, really, that you can then say, okay, my expertise is here. And if someone does come to you with that, because it is going to happen, believe it, then that's something you can offer to them to say, well, this is a lower cost alternative that may have some information or the basics or however you want to put it together. And that makes a lot of sense, because if you do have expertise, you're going to be asked about it. Guaranteed.
Yeah. Again, I don't care what you do. I don't care if you're a plumber, electrician. I don't care if you sell, if you're in a multi-level marketing and you sell cosmetics. Mark my flippin' words. You are going to have somebody come to you and go, how does my lipstick look? Do you do you think I should wear beige or again, I call them business vampires. These are the people who will come to you for free advice, and it's like a blood withdrawal. They will continue. They will take out withdrawals. They will never put anything into you. They will never. And birds of a feather flock together. Mark my words, the people they hang out with would be the exact same way. So they're not going to be able to refer anybody to you.
No,
so
that's not going to happen.
Yeah. So you just have to look at it like, okay.
We'll be right back after this short break. This is Women Entrepreneurs Radio, available on dbccoach.podomatic.com and iTunes. Yeah, that's true. And I think it's to your advantage as well, because once you have that book out there, then that's something that Kerry said, if you put that out there on Amazon or in particular, of course, you can distribute other places as well. Then, Amazon has author pages on most of their sites internationally as well as in the U.S. And that's another way of marketing, because the author page, you can put your links to your blog, links to your social media. You can put your bio. You can put pictures, or if you have book trailers or videos, there's a lot of things you can do on that page. So it's yet another way for you to market what you're doing. So there's an advantage there for you to create something to use. Now, that you can take that information and refer it to other people. It's a kind of a lower price alternative, or you can use it as a basis for classes you may want to teach, use it for coaching you may be delivering, and distribute it to prospective clients or to clients when they buy something from you or buy a certain level from you or whatever. There's so many different things you can do.
There is, and like I said, there's so many other marketing alternatives. And again, from a branding standpoint, you can post, like we just posted something on Facebook earlier today, just about we're gearing up for our media program and I posted a copy of all 3 of the cover of the books. And that was the other thing that I did. It's like because it was a series, I made sure that they all kind of matched. They're different colors and they have different backgrounds, but it's still that create your own media series. So that way it's recognizable. So you could do posts about those. God forbid, don't post anything in any marketing groups. I mean, good Lord. Oh, don't even get me started.
Oh my gosh, that was amusing. What we were looking at earlier.
Yeah, whatever.
Kind of amusing, anyway.
Yeah.
On my end, probably not on your end.
Well, it is amusing, but I'm like, really? I mean, as a marketing person to another marketing person, are you kidding me? Yeah. Are you kidding me? Really? Are you kidding me? I feel like the Robert De Niro of marketing right now. I'm like, anyway, but you can logistically, and again, this is a great way to brand it, get it out there, and you could even create an event on Facebook and do, a launch for it. There's so many different things that you can do. And, again, you can drive traffic to your Amazon page, but more importantly, going back to like some of those examples, if you have people who are asking you for advice, again, we all get it. Let's just say you're a real estate agent. A real estate agent, they have so many possibilities with media. It's not even funny. And what kills me is that none of them take advantage of it. That's why there's only really one Barbara Corcoran. And it's sad that it's like that. There should be a ton more. There really should be. But, if you have a book, if you've got people who are asking you, hey, I'm a first-time home buyer, you could put together, like I said, this is what I did as a mini book. It's a 6x9 paperback book, glossy cover, where people can, buy this book. They can download it on their Kindle. They can buy a physical copy, have it shipped to them from Amazon. You don't have to do any of this. CreateSpace takes care of all of that. And then they send you the royalties from it. I would make a special note of this. I don't think you should expect to get rich off of this, off of the books. You can use them in other things that will help you bring in a lot more money. But I think if you're, thinking, hey, I wrote these books, everybody's going to come and buy one. And it's just, this is, your book is not Mecca. Don't even go there. I mean, it's just, you logistically, use it as a tool. It's a marketing tool. So, if you, like going back to a real estate agent, if you've got a real estate agent who gets a ton of things about, maybe that, what should I look for in a property, or, maybe, like buying tips for women, you could easily make that into a little mini book with, something where they can put in notes, where you can put in worksheets for them for mortgages, like how much could I afford? What should I look for in a title agent checklist, real estate agent checklist, what you should look for, and the person can check off what they should have, what qualities and characteristics they're looking for, and does that real estate agent meet all of those? So, there's so many different possibilities. People think, under 50 pages, I wouldn't have enough to fill that. I didn't think I did either, and I did. I had more than that. So, you can put that together with CreateSpace. If you don't have a cover, just you can customize. That's what I did with mine, and mine look great. I've gotten tons of compliments on the covers, and you can customize it yourself. You can choose your own pictures and all that good stuff. So, you can, all of that stuff is there. You can take that, and again, even if you wanted to just take it and say, okay, I'd like to have 50 copies of that book because I can hand those out to potential clients. My cost, I think, from Create Space was going to be like $2.15 a book if I wanted to buy copies, which is very, very cheap as far as a marketing piece is concerned.
Yeah.
So logistically, if I wanted to buy 100, or let's just say 50 copies, that would be, what is that? That's a little over $100. Okay.
Yeah.
So if I did a little under $100, for my marketing materials, and I get 50 books and I hand them out at like different networking events that I go to, so letting people know, yeah, and I just wrote this book, so here's, who knows somebody here, I could use it as a raffle. I could donate the books. If somebody is asking me specific questions, I could give them a copy of that book. So there's so many other things that you can use it for. And it's it's a tool. It's a marketing tool, and it's all in how you use it. You can use it and sell it for profit. You can use it and give it away. You can use it to book yourself on speaking engagements. I mean, that's a huge thing. I mean, there's a lot of times people will pay you to come in and talk. And people think, oh, people wouldn't pay me to come in and speak. They will. I mean, the library, you can get booked at the library sometimes and make anywhere from $50 to $200 for a speaking engagement.
Yeah. That's sure I've done that.
So you can do a book signing. You can get an independent store to pick up your book and do a book signing there. That's going to be new people that you'll meet. I mean, the possibilities with this are endless. But if you do nothing will happen with it. That I can guarantee you. That I can put the money down on the table and say, nothing's happening with this. So join a Facebook group, because nothing's happening with this.
Yes, and that'll be a whole other adventure. And if those of you listening, I more than likely would have posted the Facebook group episode before this one, because that's a pretty hot topic. So you may, if you haven't heard already, please check it out, and so you'll get the references that are being made right now. But I think one of the important things I want to stress here was that a lot of times people may believe the hype that it's all about having that bestseller book and getting that six-figure deal that I guess everyone seems to think that they should get. And we're not talking about that kind of thing. When it comes to nonfiction, that is not something that happens every day. And those people that get that kind of thing usually have enormous platforms that they're going from. And they're usually not self-publishing their book for that kind of return. It's not impossible, not saying that. But if you are to do that, usually you're going to have a whole marketing thing in place and objectives of what you're trying to reach, so that you can promote on that scale and get the media attention and things that would drive it to that level. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm saying that it takes a lot to do that kind of thing. And, what we're talking about here is that you can take these books that you make for very little money using your expertise, and you can take that now and turn that into something, because now you have something you can turn into many other products and services even. Online classes you can use your book as a basis for.
Yeah, like Udemy, or Udemy, whatever you want to call it, is another one. So it's like, for example, with these books, we're doing the exact same thing. I am creating some classes for Udemy, and one for each of these books, and I'm referencing the book as well, where they can also get a copy, or I'm going to be including a copy with the Udemy class. So there's so many different things that you can do with this. And then, like I said, we hear people all the time, and you hear it more than I do, but all these people who are under that impression, I've just written a book. And that's all, it's like everybody's going to, as soon as I, put it on Facebook or I put it out there, or even if they get it on Amazon, oh, that's it. That's all I need to do. I've made it. Everybody's going to come running and buy my book, and I'm going to be a millionaire, and everybody's going to say, where have you been all my life? And then I'm going to be on the Oprah show, and then I'm going to be on the Today show. And then, I'm going to get $1 million movie deal. And it's just, it doesn't happen that way. the people who are making money with their books, because they're out there, and it's the same thing too. And that's another thing we're using this is to prove to people that this can work, is that, with the Create Your Own Media series, I'm doing a media tour, getting booked on different media outlets, letting people know about the books, sending them to my Amazon page. And then with those media tours, I'm contacting different speakers bureaus, associations, and different companies to say, hey, we just did this series, Create Your Own Media. I'd love to come in and speak. This is my fee. Or, there's two different options. You can pay my fee, or you can buy so many books and I will come and speak for free. So that way, it's bringing in revenue for me. And then also, like I said, the tip thing is just to also do something, with an online class, and we're doing that on Udemy. So that way even though everything's more automated and streamlined, you still have to be the marketing force behind it, because those people who are making over $100,000 a year on these, off of their books, it's because they're doing so many other things with that.
Right.
You look at, and I hate to keep going back to this, but Grant Cardone is a great example. He's written tons of books. You see him all the time on social media, but you also see him doing tons of interviews. He's writing articles. He's on TV. He's doing tons of speaking engagements for other people. He's doing his own. He puts a lot of work into and behind what he does. And that's what people don't realize. If you want to get to that level, you are going to have to really stretch yourself and do a lot of the work. I downloaded something probably about a year and a half ago. And it was this gentleman who was talking about, you could make $100,000 a year off of one of your, on a book or on a product. And the whole thing is that he said, okay, to make $100,000 a year, you break it down by the month. So that's, let's just say 6 figures, that's $8,400 or $8,500 a month. So each week you need to be bringing in, he broke that down by the day, which I think came up to like $300 a day. So all you have to do, so if you have an audio product or an audio book that's priced at $29 or $30, then you only need to sell 10 of those a day to make $100,000 a year. Well, that's great that you break down the math, but the problem is he's not telling, what people don't understand is in order for you to sell 10 products a day, you are going to have to do a shitload of work. A lot of work.
Yeah.
You're going to have to do interviews. You're going to have to be posting on social media. You're going to have to be sending out email newsletters. You're going to have to be calling people. You're going to have to be, depending upon the product, you're going to have to be doing speaking engagements. You're going to have to, there's so many things that are going to have to happen in order for you to sell 10 products a day.
Right. That's
you can't
true.
just, and I think people think, I'll just do Facebook ads. Well, somebody else did some math on that and said in order for you, in this article, I believed, in order for you to make $100,000 a year, or roughly $8,500 a month, off of Facebook ads, you are going to have to invest a minimum of $2,000 to $3,000 of your own money in order to start making that. And it won't happen immediately. You're going to have to continually reinvest the money that you make in order to get up to that. And it's about a 6-month ramp-up time. For testing and so forth. So if you don't have $2,000 to $3,000, and like I said, even if you invest that, there's no guarantee you're going to make it, because you got to test it.
I think that's part of the issue with what we're talking about, Kerry, is that there's so much that's untrue that's out here right now. Well, has always been out here, but now it seems more pervasive, where people and writers as well as business people are being told that all they have to do is have that magical ad or write that one book, and boom, it's all there for them. Because people selling these solutions, authors and marketers and whoever, selling these solutions are trying to sell you on their system to give you this instant success. And then they talk about what they've done, but they may have left out a lot of pieces to what they did to get there, and things they may have done to build that platform or whatever they did, if they did it. They may be leaving out because they're not selling you that. They're selling you that it's instant, okay? But it's not instant. And the thing to consider is that if you're doing, like I said, I differentiate between fiction and nonfiction because they're both treated differently. And if you run the advice we're giving right now is not about fiction. It's a whole different world and different things you have to do and different genres. I mean, it's just different. I've had my experience there too, obviously, writing my fiction books, but that's a different thing altogether. So don't compare the two. With the nonfiction world, you may be hearing this, but the thing to understand is, yes, if you are ready to think outside the box, okay, and you have these books or this idea, this expertise that you can break down to a book or hire a ghostwriter to write that for you, or however you put that together, then you can turn that one thing into coaching. You can turn that thing into a class. You can turn that into an audio book. You can turn that into video series. You could turn that into speaking. Mm-hmm. There's so many different ways that you can be, if that's your goal, mm-hmm. to be financially successful, to make that 6, 7, whatever figures you have in your mind. But you have to think outside the box and say, okay, for my industry, for what I'm sharing, how can I take these ideas and turn them into different things maybe, or use them to help me advance what I'm doing? You got to think that way, as opposed to, I'm just going to write this one book and then poof, it's all going to happen for me.
Well, I went through the same thing too, Deb, with when we used to do networking events. Networking events, and I did a lot of expos and trade shows, and mm-hmm. people who would display as an exhibitor or as a vendor, whatever you'd like to call it. One of the first things out of their mouth was, well, how many people attend? How many people do you expect? How many, and it's like I could always tell based upon the questions that they asked whether or not this was someone who was going to be, when I saw them, do I want to avoid them at the event or do I want to be there to help them? Because mm-hmm. it would be asking every wrong question you could possibly think of, because it was the same thing too with a lot of the vendors and exhibitors. The ones who didn't have the experience with it, or only did it once or twice, or not at all, mm-hmm. would think, and in all seriousness, and we laugh about this, but they would really think that, hey, I bought a table at this event. Mm-hmm. Everybody's going to come in. They're going to run up. They're going to see my booth. They're going to run up to me and go, oh my God, where have you been all my life? How could I have ever done business without you? You're the missing link, the missing piece, and right. I'm going to hire you. And everybody that comes in is going to run up to their table. They're going to have hundreds of people that want to do business with them, and they're never going to have to work again. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that. There's a lot of people that think that. Mm-hmm. They don't understand that, hey, it's getting the booth is part of it. Then you need to have some type of plan of action to interact with people while you're there so they don't think you're a lunt. And, you need to be able to have some type of lead capture, or the email list that we give you. Don't spam these people, but have some kind of follow-up. Pick up the phone, call them. Hey, you were there at the event. I don't know if you had a chance to stop by at my booth, but this is what we do. I'd love to set up a time to meet with you. You have to get them to engage and be with, come and be a part of, what you're doing even more, and meet with them one-on-one. And, mm-hmm. if you're not willing to do that, it's just, again, it's kind of a null issue. But mm-hmm. this doing a mini book like what I've done it can solve so many issues. It can bring in additional revenue. And it's a learning experience too. Mm-hmm. It really is.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it certainly is. I think, I totally agree with that. And once you do that, and if you, like what you've done, and then you can add more to that as you go along. It's you can just continue to add more information as you share it, as you maybe add services. If you have services or products or whatever it is that you're doing, then you can add, okay, I'm going to put together another book talking about X, or talking about this, or talking about that, and continue, because it really is relatively expensive to create them. So it's not like you're investing hundreds and thousands of dollars mm-hmm. to create these books. So that's a good thing about it. I think that makes it really accessible for people to do. So I totally think that that's a great idea. And I've seen that concept before, and I think it's good for branding, because then it's all under that same umbrella, and people see the one thing and then they go, oh, this person's got all these other things there, and they'd probably be more likely to check out the next one. Or you mm-hmm. can sell them as a set.
Exactly.
Yeah. you've got a lot of alternatives and ways that you present it, but the thing, that we're saying is just kind of decide what your objective is and your goal is for what you're doing, as opposed to listening to all this, six-figure talk that every single thing you do has to lead you to six figures, and that's your only reason for doing anything. No. So, I'm not saying you're not going to get there, but look at it from a different perspective. If that is your goal, look at different other things that you can put together and how you can achieve that, as opposed to kind of listening to a lot of these people telling you can do this without effort. Because they're just going to give you the magic way to do it, and you don't really have to put the work in to get there.
Right.
Don't listen to that, because you're going to be very frustrated.
Absolutely. And like I said, this, there's so many different things that you can do with this. I would say first and foremost, sit down, make a list. What are the top 5 things people come to you and ask you about? Okay. So if there's, out of those top 5 things, what would you want to write about? Or, and you don't even have to write with CreateSpace. You can do an audio product. Just download a program like Audacity, where you can just speak right into the microphone. You can upload that. They'll put it on where it's a downloadable CD or an actual CD product if you'd rather do an audio product. There's no right or it's whatever you're comfortable with. But
yes.
Have that, create that product, get it done, and then figure out, okay, I need to start getting interviewed about that. And, that's such an important part. And that's where I come in as an expert, is helping people, get more media exposure. And then the next thing you need to do is figure out, okay, how do I want to promote this? I mean, clearly this is the product I can give, either give to people or sell to the ones who can't afford to hire me. It's kind of, using it as kind of like a buffer. You can also take it and say, okay, I'm going to I want to get booked as a speaker. I want to have more speaking engagements. This is a perfect product. You could buy, like I said, you could buy 10 or 15 of them and, get those in from CreateSpace, and you can send those out to potential, speaking engagements, the meeting planners, and say, hey, I would love to come and talk. Here's my speaker sheet. Here's my one sheet, whatever you want to call it. And here's what I charge. And here's the sample. Here's a CD that I just did. And this is what I'm considered an expert on. You have to figure out how you want to do that, how is this going to help you? How's it going to put money in your pocket? And how is it going to add value to others? So those are 3 things you need to sit down and figure out what's what.
Yeah, that's really should do that first of all. That's something I did when I wrote my Think Like an Entrepreneur book 1, and book 2 mostly was interviews with other entrepreneurs, and that was something that I, beforehand you really had to plan it out, because it is a project. You can't just kind of throw it together and think that I'll just kind of do it. You really have to plan it out, and also hire help if you need it, because I also, Kerry, definitely the expert when it comes to promotions and marketing and sales and all that. And, I also help people who want to get their book ideas together, or, people who want ghostwriting, but that's another level. So I'm not saying that that's something you may want to hire me for, because that may take your book out of the realm of being relatively inexpensive, when you start to hire someone to do that. But most definitely, as far as helping you get your book idea together or helping with editing, that kind of thing, I definitely, also offer that isn't as expensive as maybe some other things where there's more things that has to be done. But, you really have to know where you're going and why you're doing it. What's your objective at the end of the day? What do you want to achieve with it? How are you going to use this in your marketing? Definitely let people know that it's there. Yes, get copies and give them out. I used to do that with Think Like an Entrepreneur. I would carry a copy to a networking event. I have it in my pocketbook. I just whip it out. Here it is. And I always sold it right on the spot. So that's the kind of thing. You're not being pushy. You're not being obnoxious. You're talking about it, and usually they're looking at it. Oh, I'll have to check this out. So you have to let people know that you have something that can help people, and then they'll really want to check it out. The ones who are serious will want to check it out. So, you be proud of that thing you created, and definitely take it seriously. and not feel like you got to be afraid that I can't tell people it's here and wait for them to find it. That's not going to work.
It won't. And like you said, it's unfortunate that there's a lot of people who feel like that is just the way to go. And I don't know if fear is playing a part of that, but I will tell you, going through this process, if it wasn't for Alicia kind of coaxing me and walking me through everything, I don't know that I would have done it. To be perfectly honest, because it was just like, gosh, I don't know that I have time. And fear was playing a part into it as well. I mean, we'll be honest about that. So you have to just really, you got to just bite the bullet and get it done. Because again, it can help you with so many things. The biggest thing that I see that we're all suffering from is that whole vampire type mentality with people that we deal with. And it happens a lot. And people they think, okay, well, I'm friends with you or I know you, and they will take advantage. Sometimes knowingly, sometimes unknowingly.
Yeah, that's true. They may just do it and not even be thinking about it in that way, because they just assume that you're going to share this with me in this way. And, not to say people who you have that kind of relationship with, but people who the difference. You'll be able to tell the difference about how you're feeling about it as to, when people approach you in that way. So there is a different way for them to work with you if that's really what they want. Or just, make your link on Amazon or wherever available. Hey, check this out. So you can go there and make your decision if you want to buy something from me and if that's some help for you. Like I said, that's what I did for the person, who wanted the resume help, but I was clear to her. I wasn't trying to brush her off, and I wasn't trying to just say, oh, let's buy this book. I said, I really don't feel like I can charge you for rewriting a resume, but I don't see a problem here. But if you want some additional help to maybe fix some little things, this is a lower cost alternative, because I don't think she was working at the time. And, I made it clear to her. I wasn't trying to be insulting or brush her off. I said, this is something that you want to do. This is another alternative that you can think about. I would feel comfortable letting you know this exists. And it's up to her. If she wanted to pay me still, and that would have been her choice. But, I did that in a way that I wasn't being obnoxious about it. There's a way to let people know that you're not just trying to say, oh, I don't have time for you kind of thing. But just letting her know that that did exist. So that's another thing you could do as well. But I think this kind of thing would be good for just about any kind of business.
Like I said, there's just so many different there's just so many different things you can do with it.
It is. It really is. It's just a matter of thinking outside the box as to what do you want to do? Where do you want to go with it? What do you want to create? Pretty much, as Kerry's saying, the sky is the limit. Because you can take that one idea, that one concept, and keep spinning it into different ways to reach people. Everybody, doesn't learn the same way. So maybe they want video, maybe they want audio. Most of my books are in print, in ebook, and in audio. These different audiences. Maybe there's, all three, but still, you try to meet people where they are. With how they want to learn and how they want to take in information. So you really have a lot. If you are looking into this, there's a lot you can choose from here, and you can really grow what you're doing and really show your expertise and also get that for other, use that for your promotions and, let your book be your way to get your foot in the door with the media and speaking and all kinds of other opportunities. So don't underestimate the power of it. And if you, want more information about it, definitely reach out to Kerry, reach out to myself. If it's not something we can help you with, we'll definitely refer you. So that's no problem. If it's some more, a different kind of help that you're looking for. But I would definitely think about that if you're looking for a way to get out here and, really show people what you have, to share.
And I would also say, just as a last thought, because I'm just kind of looking at my Amazon page right now, a couple of things too that this will also do is that it's going to be more information out there about you, because that Amazon page is going to rank pretty high. You have the opportunity, you're uploading your photo. It's going to show all the different books that you have and the different versions. And with the author updates, it allows you to feed in your blog. Mm-hmm. So your blog posts can be on there, and then writing up your own bio as well, mm-hmm. Of what you want on there, and then of course your picture as well. So it's also too another way of if people are on Amazon and they're searching for certain things, like the create your own media, the podcasting one. Like if I click on that, down at the bottom, it's going to say, there's different, other things that people may have looked at, mm-hmm. Where you can set it up. You can do a giveaway on Amazon as well. I haven't done that yet, but it's just a promotional thing that they allow you to do. It helps to create buzz. But with the Amazon, you were able to feed into Kindle. We're also on the Amazon for the UK, which mm-hmm. is great. So, there's people all over that could buy your. Again, there's just no limits to what can happen with this.
Right.
It's all in how you look at it and what your plan of action is and executing mm-hmm. that plan. So mm-hmm. just figure out what it is that you want to do. There's going to be fear during this process. There always is, but you just need to get out there and just get it done because, again, this is something that needs to be done. Mm-hmm. It's, my biggest thing that I figured we would talk about would be, alleviating that whole, let me pick your brain. It's a great let me pick your brain product.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, I just created a product on that. Here's the link, moving on. But, again, there's just so many other things that you can do with this. And I think mm-hmm. once somebody gets started with this, it's just like once I went through this process, we have the Pitch Like a Bitch book coming out. After that, I have 2 other books that I'm working on. 2 mm-hmm. other ones that I'm like, okay, I came up. It's almost like it's addictive. And Alicia said that to me. She said, once you get started, you're not going to want to stop. And now, after being through the process, I understand exactly what she's talking about. And she's right. So there's so many other things. And, even if you just go through this process and nothing comes of it, it's a learning experience. It helps you grow. If anyone ever asked you, are you published? You can say yes.
Mm-hmm.
I just.
That's true. That's very true.
There's just so many different things you can do with this. You just have to mm-hmm. make a plan and work through it.
Exactly. And also, Kerry, you could also create an account, an author account on Goodreads as well. If that's something that you have done or haven't done. Because Goodreads, I believe, is owned by Amazon. So, of course, they tie everything together that they own. Right. So, that's another site for authors, probably more for readers than authors, I think, that I've found anyway. But it's a place that you can create an account and as an author, and then you can kind of claim your book, so to speak. You say you're the author of this book, and then it'll be displayed under your name and everything there. So that's yet another place that you can be found by readers. So that's kind of the thing that we're talking about is what are the different ways you can be found online or anywhere at this point, because everybody's trying to be found. And please believe that there's a lot of people who aren't doing anything. As Kerry said, there's a lot of people who just create that thing and let it sit there either because of fear of promotion or they really believe that someone's just going to come and find it. And they're not promoting. So you may think everybody's promoting their books, but they're not. A lot of people are very hesitant to do that, even after all the work they've done, they put into it. So don't think that, I can't do that. Yeah, you can, because you put the work into doing the book, so you can put the work into letting people know it exists, and then using it in the way that you do in your business and your promotions and also creating new products. So definitely don't miss that opportunity. Excuse me, if you have done that. And just to make a short note, as we're wrapping up, I had recently interviewed a certified tax coach, Diane Gardner, her interview was recently posted, so it was already there by the time you hear this. And she wrote some books about, taxes and finances. Wow, what business person would love to hear information that they can use like that, because a lot of times there's so many books and some are more geared to big business or some seem so technical or so dry. And she's writing it from her point of view and then helping other business owners. So after we had our interview, she sent me one of her books, as a thank you. So, wow, yes, I'm going to have her in mind because she works with people across the country. Even though she's in the Midwest, she works, online. So, of course, now she's in my mind. And she has a book, and I'm going to read it and probably review it. So she's taken that product, and now she's using her interview, but also her book now is also a representative of hers. You know what I'm saying? Like it's an ambassador for her. Right. So look at ways that you can use these things once you create them. And as Kerry said, the sky really is the limit if you think about it. Don't hold back. Don't think that you can't do it. Believe me, most people are not going to take that next step. So if you've got an idea, you got excited about this conversation, go for it. So do you have any final thoughts, Kerry, or do you think that's it for you?
No, I would say that this, what we shared, I think it's just basically you got to go through, make those notes, figure out what you want to do, how you want to move forward with it, and get it done.
Mm-hmm.
And God forbid, don't post in any Facebook groups. Oh, my gosh. I don't want anybody to face that kind of rejection. I'm in the process of picking up the pieces of my life so I can move on.
Oh my
I'm
God.
Sorry. I have to sit here and say that because, I'm just so floored. If you haven't listened to the podcast we did on Facebook groups, please do. Please do.
Yes, because that's going to tell you the story. So the Facebook group stories about rules and regulations and what one should not do supposedly in the group world. So if you do your book, consider doing a page for it. I just created an author page for my fiction actually. And I have a page that I promote the show and coaching and my nonfiction book on a different page because it really is different things I'm saying. But consider creating a page. And then you could share those things and, some groups may be happy about it and others not. But at least you have your own real estate. Or create, get a blogger blog, get a free page on WordPress on the free version if you prefer, and just do a page. You don't have to spend a lot of money to promote it when you're starting, but try to, create something out there that is a page devoted to what you're doing, so that way you don't have to really mess with these groups and things if they start to get kind of out of pocket with you about what you're sharing. You don't have to be so dependent on them. So maybe you need to consider a page or something like that. Just saying. Okay. So I think we covered.
And that's another thing you can do with the book is you can create a business page for it, and which I highly recommend.
Yeah.
Have that, and then you can just share, different posts and things like that. So
definitely do that because you just want to protect yourself in case some group tells you that you're just, a bad person for posting things. So, you don't want that, or maybe you don't care, but maybe it's not important. But that way, at least you can have a separate place that that's devoted to what you're doing, your book or series of books, or however you set it up. Okay?
Absolutely.
Great. All right, so we've come to the end of another episode. I know that you got a lot out of this, and like I said, please make sure you share your feedback. You can share reviews on iTunes. You can share feedback, of course, on WomenEntrepreneursSecrets.com and on Kerry's site, www.strictlymarketingmagazine.com, or connect with us on social media. You find those links. Links for Kerry, the show notes, and also my links are on on the Women Entrepreneur Secrets blog. So there's different ways to get in touch with us. So I hope you will take advantage of that. And once again, it's been Women Entrepreneurs Radio with your hosts, Deborah Bailey and Kerry Heaps. And thanks for joining us today. And I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining us. You can also join in the conversation on Facebook.com/Women Entrepreneurs and on the website, WomenEntrepreneursecrets.com. And don't forget to listen in on dvcoach.podomatic.com and on iTunes.